This little timer here may be enough to stop your procrastination. If you've spent any time watching me, you've probably noticed this little green clock-looking thing that I have on my desk. Well, this is actually a timer. And frankly, it's one of the most important things I have in my entire desk setup. Welcome to the video. Sit down, relax, grab a cup of coffee. My name's Luke. I find the best products in the world so that you don't have to. I'm going to talk about how I use this timer here to manage my day as a data scientist. I often have multiple projects that I'm working on and multiple deliverables that are due in the same day. So this is a critical piece of my workflow and one of the main ways that I sort of schedule out and manage my day. This little timer is one of the many items on my best things for this life list, which is a list of products that I've curated over the years that are my favorite products in the world, and I would recommend to anyone. So I primarily use this timer in two ways. The first is breaking my cycle of procrastination, and the second is a technique that I learned during my time as an analyst called timeboxing, which is really simple, but I'm gonna explain it in this video. You might be thinking, what's the big deal? I have a timer on my phone that's super easy to use and is always with me. Like, why not just use that? For me, I like tactile or physical feedback in my workspace. Between the Vesta board that I have behind me that manually flips over individual flaps to display messages and statuses of things, to my mechanical keyboard that makes typing and writing just that much more interesting and fun to do, so I'm actually inclined to do it. I really like having things that I can touch and feel in my space that make me more productive. And with this timer, with a simple twist of the dial, I can set as much time as I want, up to an hour, and I can clearly see how much time I have left with the dark green shaded area. The second reason is any time that I need to interact with my phone to, say, set a timer, is an opportunity for me to become distracted. So en route to setting that timer, maybe I see an email notification, or maybe I see a text message. And then before I know it, I'm 30 minutes deep down the Instagram Reels hole, and I've wasted all that time. So to the extent that I can limit my interaction with my phone to free time or for things I really need to do, that's what I try to do. And one of the reasons why I really like having a dedicated physical timer for tracking my time. The timer itself is quite simple. You can time up to an hour at a time. And the main thing is this dial on the front here, which you can turn and set to any amount of time that you would want. And then obviously you see the time set in the shaded area and it ticks down. So you can set up to a full hour if you'd like. You can also adjust it down without worrying about anything breaking. It'll continue ticking down as normal. So it's not like if you set it at 20, you can't adjust it back down to 10, or that won't give you any issues there. As far as the back goes, pretty simple. There's a switch on the back to allow an alarm, so I'll give that example here. Right now I have it off. I personally don't use it, but I could see how a lot of people would want to. So just switch over to alarm, and then you'll see if I reduce this to 0, it starts beeping, 4 chimes, and then it stops. So that's a nice feature as well if you want to hear when the time stops. And then the whole thing is powered by a single AA battery. And you need this to power anything on the clock. So it's not just the alarm. If you want the timer to count down at all, then you need to have that. You need to have the battery in there. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, that's about it. And this is, I have it in the green color because I have green walls. But There's a ton of different colors that you can choose from, so you can really do anything too. Anything you'd like to fit your setup. So let's talk about how I use this to break my cycle of procrastination. And this is normally like what I call jump starting my day in the morning. This is what I use to get going initially. So the only way this works for me, and I know it's a little strange, but it's how my brain works, is I have to give this timer a lot of power. Whenever I'm setting time, I have to take it seriously. If there's ever an instance that I don't take it seriously, this timer is forever less effective going forward. If there is green on the timer, I need to be heads down, working on my task until it's finished. This is a key rule for me because if I allow myself to look at my phone once, I'm going to be more inclined to do that every time I set the timer going forward. So mentally, I know that I can't break this sort of internal pact that I have. And because of that, I know that if I turn this dial, I have to immediately start working. So often what I'll do is I'll make a cup of coffee and then I will come over to my desk, pick up the clock and turn it, at least 15 minutes. And that means I have to immediately start working. I know it's a weird thing, but because of the power that I've given this timer, it works for me every time. And the great thing is, if you do at least 15 minutes, by the time that 15 minutes is up, you're normally flowing with your task, you're already engaged with it. Now let's talk about a time management technique that pairs really nicely with this timer and makes it even more effective. And that technique is called timeboxing. I picked this up during my time as an analyst, where I would often be working on multiple projects and I would have multiple deliverables within the same day. And I wanted to make sure that I was allocating enough time to finish most or all of these items and not just waste my entire day heads down focused on one thing. So timeboxing is the exercise of mapping your to-do list into dedicated time blocks. Once you have your general to-do list for each of the items that you want to time block, you're going to set reasonable windows in which you can accomplish the task that you want to accomplish. I'm gonna just make up a random day that I have with a random sampling of items that I want to time box. So let's say that the first thing that we want to do is, let's check messages, email, and calendar. The second thing is complete write-up of analysis. And then the third is respond to Mark about experiment findings. Okay, so let's just call this the to-do list for the day. Now we want to assign reasonable time blocks for each of these. So check messages, email, and calendar. This should take about 15 minutes. Complete write-up of analysis. This should take about 1 hour. And then respond to Mark about experiment findings. Let's give that one 30 minutes. So once you've created the list and created reasonable time blocks for each item, then you're gonna start working through your items. And this is where the timer really comes in handy because it's going to make you stick to the time blocks that you've set. It is critical that you adhere to these time blocks, even if that means stopping on something that you haven't quite finished. The point of this method is to ensure that you're not spinning your wheels and spending too much time on any one item. And you can always block more time later in the day or maybe even the next day with the learning of why you weren't able to accomplish what you thought you'd be able to in the original time block that you set. If you are interested in buying this timer, I've included a link in the description of this video. There's a ton of different color options, so you don't have to love the green color. You can pretty much get any color that you'd like. And if you enjoyed my video, subscribe. I'm working my way towards 1,000 subscribers, and every person that subscribes gives me an exponential boost that I wouldn't have otherwise. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.